All right, back on part 2 of our Model 14 and our Visi-bar model number 11 build. We've talked about this before. This is my sharpening stone, my old grinding stone that I got years ago when I worked as a CNC machinist. But you can buy these, you know, pretty much anywhere. It's just a sharpening stone. We cut another bulb, which we were successful in cutting without cracking. All right, so we talked in our other video about the height of the dome that we want, and we want these to be 220 thousandths tall. So right now we're setting at 230, and that's only 10 thousandths. 10 thousandths to the naked eye is, you know, not much. I don't know how well this is going to show up. I'll try to give a somewhat of a comparison. Set that on the edge of the base. We're not off too far. But to get these ground, put a little water on this. It helps cut down the friction, and it adds to the cutting ability. So I'm going to set this down. You probably won't be able to see any of this because of my hand in the way, but I will grasp this little piece of light and just lightly run it over top of this sharpening stone. And as I'm doing it in circles, I'm actually twisting so I can try to maintain a nice level surface. Rinse it off real quick. It's very important that while you're doing this, you continually check your progress. And we'll bring this up. Remember, we started at 330. We're down to 328 now. And then you want to make sure that you rotate it to check to make sure you're flat and or square. So I won't take these all the way down to bore you guys into tears. We just want to 327 thousandths. So let's make these 327 thousandths just for grins and giggles. So we need to take about 3 thousandths off this light bulb. Again, I'm just putting very light pressure down on this and letting the stone work its magic and just grind that glass away. This process probably took me 5 years to discover. 325, 26, 327 and a half. We're only half thousandths off from the other one, so we're going to call that good. All right, so we're going to put this stuff away. And we're going to work on our base for our dome. And we said we want to use 11/32 tube. But I also forgot to mention we're going to use a piece of 10 thousandths evergreen poly sheet, okay? That's what's going to create our surface for the light to set on. So now we need to make a relative dome for this, or a base for the dome. I think I'm getting on there. I don't know. So let's get a quick measurement. I should have probably wrote all this down prior to. So it looks like we want to be about 140 thousandths. 140 thousandths tall. So if you got this measurement, now you have your depth, okay? So remember, we're going to add 10 thousandths to the top of it. But then there's also the matter of getting the top and bottom squares. So let's add a few thousandths to this. I'm just simply going to put this on here. Relatively close. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to sand everything down. I can't do anything left-handed. I have to be on the right-hand side. So we're going to take this end. Let me sand this off a little bit. We're going to butt this up to the bottom of the caliper. Okay, it doesn't matter what side. There's our depth right here. So just eyeball it. Roll it. Doesn't have to be perfect because we will be sanding this. My blade is super dull. Not a very good example for a demonstration now, is it? We'll roll this out. Get this cut. This wall thickness on this isn't very much. .22 thousandths wall thickness. Let's try another blade. Excuse me. There we go. Okay, base number 1. So 225 thousandths. Leave that there, lock it in place. Let's try to cut another one. We are pretty smooth right here, pretty flat. Just give it a quick little cleanup. All right, we're going to do the same thing. Set it on there, roll it. If I knew these blades were this dull, I would have done this ahead of time. Not to make myself look like a goof. There we go. All right, so now we have our 2 bases. We're going to have to do some sanding on those. But the first thing we want to do is we want to just establish one square edge. One square edge on both. Now this is where our 10/1000 styrene comes into play. Remember your flat side, we're going to establish that as the top. We're simply going to stick these on here. Hit them with some Tamiya Extra Thin. We're going to give those some time to dry up. Just a little bit of pressure. Make sure it's seated. When that dries, we will cut this out, sand that flush to the outside of our 11/32 tube, and we will then establish our correct height by sanding the bottom. So we'll let this set for a little bit and we'll be back.